Hi, I'm Daz. Today I have a collection of FM tuners to show you that I found in my loft. I've forgotten I got them really. There's one by Heathkit, there's one by Acoustical, or a quad one I guess. There's a leak one here, there's a Jason kit, and an unknown one I found. FM broadcasting began in 1955 in the UK, which is where I live. There was some tests before that to test the advantages and disadvantages of AM modulation and FM modulation on the VHF bands, and they did decide in the end to go for FM. So these tuners became quite popular during the 60s, people looking for a better sound quality than AM radio could provide. It's not that AM can't provide a high quality, it's because by then the AM bands were quite crowded and radio receivers were beginning to come with their IFs quite clamped, so the frequency response you got was getting lower and lower, and it was only going to be about 5 or 6 kilohertz, whereas FM can provide 15 kilohertz. And despite all the digital revolution, you know, FM is still alive and well throughout the world, apart from Norway probably. But I thought we'd just have a quick look at these. These are all valve or tube tuners, and I'm probably going to end up fixing one in in this video as well. Tuner number one. This is the Jason kit from around 1963, from what I can work out from the booklet I've got. You bought this from a small company based in London, and it was a kit, and you assembled it yourself, which probably explains some of the soldering, but who am I to judge? This one has got a total of 4 valves in it. It's FMT1 from what I can work out from the book. It's for local reception only. This one's tuned by 2 capacitors. This capacitor's tuned. If you look underneath, you see it's not entirely valve. There is, in fact, if we look carefully, if you can just spot them, there we go, there's a diode there and a diode there, so it's got some early germanium diodes in there. So this one, I suppose you could say is hybrid. Let's get in a little bit closer, there we go, so you can see better. So you've got a couple of IF cans in here, and then you've got your demodulator can. This one I believe is a ratio detector type FM detector in it. There is a capacitor, so that tends to suggest it is. Looking at the diagram, I was very fortunate to be wandering around a radio rally, and I actually found the booklet that goes with that tuner, and I think we can see the price list here, how much they cost. I'm only old enough to remember metric, he says. Metric money. So this is tuner number 2. This is a leak. I think it's from around 64. Mine's a little bit worse for the wear. I've lost the decorative bit here, and the writing looks a little bit faded. This one's got AFC, automatic frequency control, done by a valve. A valve can be used as a variactor apparently, by adjusting its biasing. It adjusts the capacitance, so that's how it's done. This one, if I'm right, has got 7 valves in it. It's got a built-in mains power supply in this one. And also, here's the thing.
What I actually meant was a trough line, not a trowel line.
This resonant circuit here. I suppose it's a bit like a coaxial stub. You've got a piece of metal in the middle and this solid pipe around the outside. Idea is it increases the Q of the inductor. That's the quality factor of the inductor. Quality factor is basically how good it is at being an inductor. An inductor wants to be inductor. It doesn't want to have any capacitance, and it doesn't want to have any resistance, and hence the term Q quality. This one is tuned. It's got a 3 gang, so it's got an RS stage as well, tuned RS stage as well as local oscillator. Mine looks a little bit worse for wear, but you know, there's a nice flywheel there. Pot metal hasn't fallen apart, thankfully. 7 valves, but one is a magic eye, so I don't suppose that counts as an amplifier, does it? Just have a look underneath. Looks very much original. I don't have a case for this, but yeah, it's Looks pretty original. I don't think anyone's been in here and touched anything. It looks pretty much as it were. The idea of this trowel line, or stub resonator as I call it, was to increase the stability. Obviously you've got valves where electrodes move, so that's bad enough. What you don't want is the inductor being warmed up and moving too much, but having this higher Q means that it should be more frequency stable, because the higher Q factor helps to hold the VFO at the set frequency you set. Because the problem with FM, if it drifts too far, you're going to start introducing distortion, which is not what you really want. Anything else of note? Yeah, this has got a Foster-Seeley discriminator in it for FM, so not a ratio detector, which was, I think, one of the most popular methods of FM decoding. Oh, one thing I didn't show you was the back, and I've got it upside down. So here's the back of it. Notice it has got a multiplex output, because when this was made they were thinking about stereo at the time, even though it took a very, very long time for stereo to move throughout the country. It's got 75 ohm and 300 ohm input as well, and it's multi-voltage, which is one of the reasons. There's another thing here, is if we look at the scale does go up to 108 megs, but in the UK we didn't get that until the 80s. Because the police service, if I remember correctly, was still around about 100 megs. So that's why if you see UK receivers on YouTube which are old, you'll find they only go up to about 100, 101 megs, simply because we couldn't use the whole band, because police services and other services were still on the FM band, their PMR service. So that's the reason for that. This is tuner number 3, and this is a Heath kit for FM4U. I think this was made for quite some while during the 60s. Of course, being Heath kit, you build this yourself. So how many valves have we got in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including the rectifier and the magic eye, so that makes 5, I guess. I believe this come with a module that was pre-tuned. I'm not 100% certain, but I think it was, and you built the circuit board with the IF stages. You can see the cable, the IF here, coming in here from the tuner unit. These are usually a dual triode, so you've got an RF amplifier and a local oscillator mixer. This one is permeability tuned, in other words, variable inductance. So when you turn the zoom in, that's better. When you turn the dial, you're pulling a cord, and that's pulling inductors inside to do the tuning. So this one's a little bit different. Let's turn it over and zoom back out. There we go. There's this one underneath. There's the magic eye. There's your transformer. Let's zoom in a little bit more. That's better. Let's fill up the frame, shall we? Yeah, that's better. Rectifier, smoothing capacitor, and just a little bit of gear off the circuit board. It's mostly on the circuit board. There's a pot for the output. Only one output's connected. Interesting. And there's an auxiliary socket here. I guess that was probably for powering it from something else. I'm wondering if this model was available without the power supply. Probably. So yep, that's the Heath kit one. Well, there you go. There's your date, May 64. So someone made this somewhere around 64, 65. By the way, this one is a ratio detector on this one. Right, so to tuner number 4, this is a acoustical, which I suppose is a quad. And I didn't even say what model number it is. I don't know, I think it's just what it is. Just an FM tuner, but this one, how many valves have we got in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 valves in this one. One of those I think is used to drive the 2 neons which are on the front, which are used for tuning. This one is permeability tuning, so which is the best way to, let's see if we can, come on, autofocus, don't let me down, there we go, there's a screw knob, and again this is permeability tuning, and the grease is pretty sticky like treacle. This one, looking at the circuit diagram, what have we got? Looking at this one, it looks like this one is a Foster Sealing converter. This is designed to obviously work from preamp, I guess. There's an RCA and a 4-pin plug, which is probably the HT and the filament supply. So anyway, that's tuner number 4. Correction, this has got 7 valves. Learn to count the ones in the can. So that makes 6 active valves. So it should be a fairly sensitive tuner, I guess. A little bit of stress in the plastic, I notice. Notice these little bits here you can move, so you can mark where the home, third and light service is. And last of all, tuner number 5. I found this at a radio rally years ago, and I have actually had it powered up, and it did actually work despite the fact it had no work done to it. This one has only got 1, 2, 3, 4 valves, so it's probably not got a lot of gain, but it did pick up the local radio stations. This one has got capacitor tuning. Interestingly, I can't remember what this does. I think it twigs the local oscillator, so it's a little twig. You can see there's a dual gang there and the knob's slipping. There's also a lot of rust. Don't charge for that. Just zoom and have a look underneath. So it's still got its waxies, all original parts. What I had in mind for this one, I've got this amplifier outside, and it looks like it could have took a radio module at one stage, and of course the radio modules are not present. So I had this idea of shoving this in, perhaps, to give it an FM radio, but there's an output level control, but you know, this is need a little bit of recapping. Notice this one's got solid state detection again, so a couple of very early germanium diodes there. Working FM tuner. Oh, it's still got the original label on. I think I paid the pricey sum of £1.50 for this. Perhaps they should have paid me to take it away, I don't know.